Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerpison, joined with Bacon. The Vols are still undefeated. We're going into Kentucky. We're going to break down everything, but before we get into that, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. We absolutely love the comments. If you're just listening, rate and review, download, re-download, follow on every platform that you might listen. And also check out our merch. It's in the link below. It is a great shirt. Got the slogan on there. How we doing, bud? And just looks awesome. I like the white one myself. So go check that out. If you want to follow us on social media, at Believe in Tennessee for our Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerpison for myself. So on this pod, we talk a little bit about the Bama game again, just because it was so great. We also talk about UT Martin, what it meant for those backups to get in the game, and what kind of things we saw in it that give us a light for the future or maybe confuse us a little bit. And then we get into Kentucky. The breakdown of Kentucky, who they are as a team, what they are as an offense, what they are as a defense, how we can take advantage of that, and why we always beat them. So another great pod. Let's jump into it.
The game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir, Reed. No, sir, Reed. Final score. Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we jump into the podcast, got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. It is the place to go for betting. It is your number one source for betting. They have all the odds, all the team totals, all the parlays that you could ever want, and they cover every sport. You got NFL, you got NBA, you got tennis, you got golf, you got baseball, you got everything you could think of. It is the place to go if you're going to bet on anything and make anything exciting. So for first-time signups, go over to betonline.ag, and for a 50% welcome bonus, use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, at checkout and receive that 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, welcome in, everybody. The Vols are still undefeated. What an amazing week. And we're headed into KenSucky. So excited. Before we get into everything that happened this weekend and what's coming up, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Kyler, big fella. I was just telling you off air that I was fired up to talk about this, even though, it's really hard to come off the Alabama game podcast, I should say, which is funny because thank you to everyone that listened. It was great to see those numbers way up there. So,
and everyone who bought merch, freaking love you guys.
Dude, James has his shirt before we do. We didn't even have his size at first. Big fella needed a size that we didn't even have, and then he's sending pictures out before I even have our own merch. I was like, this dude's incredible.
He's incredible, dude.
Maybe he owns Believe.
And then we're almost at 5,000 views on YouTube for that video, which is one of our highest ones ever. Life is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say James maybe works at Believe and we don't even know it.
I will say one thing though. I'm very excited to edit a 45-minute podcast and not a 2+ hour podcast. So I'm sure everyone noticed that Reed's and mine both switched cameras throughout because literally just ran out of space to use the other stuff. It was so big. It was like,
wait, what do you mean you ran out of space?
so it was like trying to download your videos because you had it in like 3 separate things, like wasn't able to get wasn't able to get that one in. And then mine literally cut off because we were recording for 2+ hours and my camera died. So I had to use the Zoom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I noticed that where my angle would go and back.
Yeah. So like I had to use the Zoom video to complete it. And I mean, that thing was like 30 gigabytes worth of data.
Yeah. It was, man, it was unbelievable to see it up there. I think, 46, 47. And if you guys see my arm over here jiggling, I'm not being sketchy. Annie's in here with me, so I'm giving her some love. But it was unbelievable to see that. And it's just so humbling. And I mean, words can't describe how awesome that is to see that. And to see someone already wearing merchant, I mean, like, it's just like, this is beyond anything I ever expected or ever dreamed of. I just started showing up on a Zoom call to talk football with you, just for fun. But also it still feels amazing just coming off the high of like knowing that Tennessee is really good. I've just never had this feeling
in the driver's seat, baby.
I've just never had this feeling with any of my teams. I mean, I remember going back to like 2008 and the Titans started 10-0, and then we lost to the freaking Brett Favre's Jets because opening kickoff Leon Washington took the house and we never had a chance. And I started like tearing up. Dude, I was like, okay, no, actually that one I didn't tear up because I was a junior in high school.
Yes.
But I was very, very pissed because I was like, man, we had our shot to go undefeated. That wasn't going to happen. We ended up, losing in the first round of the playoffs after being the first seed, which I don't want to talk about. But even then, and even when Tennessee's been good, or even when the Titans have been good, I still haven't felt this level of confidence. Maybe last year when the Titans did have that run, I didn't have confidence that we're going to win every game, but I had confidence like, hey, this team's going to show up. They're going to play hard and they're going to play well. Now with Tennessee Vols, I'm like, let's go, Georgia. Like, let's go. Like, meet me in the middle of the field, and I'm here to throw down. And so it's like as if I'm on the team. They're lucky. Georgia's lucky. Georgia's lucky I'm not on the team because somebody's head would be getting taken off.
You know how many penalties we would have for unnecessary roughness?
Or after I drill someone and just get over them and taunt them. Yeah. But it's crazy, man. Like, Kentucky's coming to town and spread opens up at 14, and I'm just like, I mean, and I'm like, and then, I don't know what it's done lately, but I saw it was already up to 14.5, so maybe some early money was coming on Tennessee. I love that bet. You know me, I'm going to be watching the first quarter line and seeing what that is, but it was funny.
Listen, you want to know why that's at 14.5? With 4:10 left in the third quarter is when Kentucky finally got to double digits in their last game. 4:10 left in the third quarter. That's why it's at 14.5.
Well, was that against Mississippi State?
Yes.
So, and we'll dive into this because we're gonna talk. I actually have a couple things on Bama. Then we'll talk UT Martin, and then we'll talk Kentucky.
Okay.
But before we get to there, I was texting Jack. I woke up in the middle of the night on Friday night, and I guess he was still up. It was literally like 2 a.m, and I was like, or maybe he was like super early, and he was up because he works in the golf business, so he had to be at the course super early. But I was like, what am I missing here? Why is this spread 38? I thought this bad boy's gonna be like 45 or 50 against UT Martin. And I was like, I mean, I get like the hangover effect. And then I was like, and I get the backdoor cover, but I was like 35 or 38. I was like, this is weird. I was like, I see us winning this game 52-7. I have the text message that says 52-7. We were winning at halftime
52-7.
And so I knew, like, and I was talking with the people I was there, like, I actually took Tennessee and teased them down. Did not have a good weekend betting, by the way, but this is the one teaser I won is I had Tennessee and I teased them down to 25 with three other bets. But it was just kind of weird and funny. And I was like, I get that they might backdoor, but I mean, I don't know. It was just kind of ironic.
That's why first quarter and first half Tennessee is like one of the best. Like first quarter is one of the surest bets ever. We even did it versus Bama.
Yeah, the only time I didn't win that one was Florida. I lost that one against Florida in the first quarter.
I thought you pushed versus Florida.
What?
I thought you pushed versus Florida.
No, I lost the first quarter bet. But I did see that the first half versus Kentucky is -7. So I can see myself going first quarter, first half, and full game against Kentucky. So, but anyways, how was your weekend? I haven't really talked to you much, but how was your weekend?
It was good. I always love these games because I can watch and do other things at the same time and like feel relaxed, which is so great. And don't feel like just like, oh wow, I just literally sat on the couch for 3.5 hours. So I was able to like do stuff around it.
And those 3.5 hours against Bama aren't just we were playing games with them. Basically, we were in there.
Yeah, I mean, if I had like one of those little whoops on to test the heart rate, like you would have been like, damn, this guy did play a game. Like that's what was going on in my chest that whole time.
This guy, this big boy either just worked out, went up a flight of stairs, or just bumped uglies with his wife.
Nope. Jumping up and down at the Alabama game, screaming at refs.
Yeah.
But yeah, had a good weekend. Just trying to get things done around the house. That's what I always do every weekend. But and then got to watch Tennessee just blow the doors off, and then the Titans win too. Like, pretty good time.
So you were doing stuff. Did you go back and rewatch, or just like watch a edited version of it?
I rewatched. I would say I definitely like fast forward through parts and was just like, all right, let me get to these good things. And I tried not to take that many notes because I was like, I know that we're going to talk about Kentucky too, and this is a lot, but I still took, a good page.
Yeah. Well,
notes pointing out stuff. So
I was in Memphis. My mom and I went down there to visit Tina and Lou and Lee and Liz and Bailey and Austin. And so we drove Thursday, basically afternoon and night, got in there and was there and hung out. I worked Friday, but was still down there and was with them Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was awesome, man. You know how close I am with them. And so great to see them and be back in a city that I love, man. I love Memphis. I spent a lot of time there. So whether I'm in Knoxville, Memphis, or Nashville, they all have that little bit of home feeling kind of in my heart. So I love being there in that city. And it was great to watch a lot of ball and watch, I did get to watch the first little bit of Tennessee. And then on the ride home today, I watched a little bit more of the second half because I wanted to see like Taven Jackson and, some of the backups and all that. And then obviously I got my new swag, dude. This thing is sick. I swear Fanatics, Fans Edge, and NFL Shop. I get emails, like multiple emails from them a day because I know they just sucker me in because I always go, it's like 65% off. I'm like, well, I got to check and see if there's anything new.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's like the two-tone.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. And it's like a hoodie version here, but light here. And then it's got the hood. So, yeah, super. And, of course, like I'm rocking it today because Titans, I think 4 or 5 wins in a row against the Colts. Man, growing up and always having Peyton. And funny thing for all you Tennessee fans, I hated Peyton Manning growing up because because I was a Tennessee ball fan. But realistically, I was about that age when like my favorite player was Al Wilson. Like that's when it really triggered for me age-wise. And then, like, only thing I knew about Peyton Manning was the Colts. And, like, I was raised in Nashville, and so I was in Nashville when the Titans moved there. So, like, that was my team with the Vols. But I remember – and it wasn't as bad in Nashville, but I remember when we'd come back to visit in Knoxville where I moved back here, you'd go into, like, a Pilot or you go into a Weigels, and it was Tennessee Vols and then, like, Indianapolis Colts and then maybe Titans. And I get it. Like, I get it. People here followed him and were fans, so I'm not mad about it. But it was funny because like Peyton, when I was growing up.
I'm sure that like the actual number of Titans fans was diminished because of Peyton Manning, and like people in Tennessee loved him so much that they felt weird rooting for the Titans because they loved him. And like the Titans had just started a couple years before when he got to the NFL. So I'm sure like that was probably why people never like talked about the Titans, or like their fan base was never talked about before, because Peyton was in the way. Now that Peyton's gone, I think the fan base it's just exploded.
Well, growing up there, I don't think people will ever understand unless you lived in Nashville at that time. That 1997, 8, 99, 2000, 2001, I'm telling you, Kyler, now, we never had season tickets, but I had a good amount of buddies that did. So I went to a lot of Titans games. I'm not kidding you. Like, you would show up, and it would be against the Browns. And the Titans were good all those years when I was growing up. But, like, every Sunday, it was sold out. Every Sunday, it was sold out. So, like, when the Titans came in there and the fact that they were good, it just took over Nashville. Like, I mean, we had Titans days at school where everyone got to wear their jerseys and stuff. We got days off because of, like, the Super Bowl or big games. Like, it took over the city. And then as Nashville changed and we started getting all these transplants and it became like the hot city to move to, which it's been now for 10 plus years, you get such a melting pot. I mean, you could walk down the street in Nashville and you get a Bears fan, a Eagles fan, a Steelers fan, a damn Dolphins fan, just whatever. And so, and it really hurt the Titans because they were bad for a little bit of time. But yeah, I don't want it to get misinformed. The Titans had a great fan base early on, but anyways, to be able to see what we've done to the Colts as of late it's just been beautiful, and I love it. 3 years in a row, every year, all the talking heads just go, Colts are probably going to win it this year. They got Phillip Rivers, they're going to win the division. They got Carson Wentz this year, they're going to win the division. They got Matt Ryan, they're going to win the division. I'm just like, hey. We'll see about that.
Still comes through Nashville, baby.
Still comes through Nashville. So,
all right.
Yeah. Anyways, great weekend. Love seeing them. Let's talk some ball. A couple things real quick that I want to hit on about Alabama.
Yeah.
So no joke. Last Tuesday, I finished working out, come home, and I'm usually lay on the couch for a little bit and watch ball at night to relax and lay down. And I said, you know what? I'm going to rewatch the Tennessee game. My dad's like, you know what? I'm going to watch it with you.
You know what?
So,
I'm going to enjoy that.
Yeah. So we watched it from like the third quarter on, and it was funny that we got almost 5,000 views for that last pod, because I told you, I said, I don't even think that's one of our better pods. Because I feel like when we know that we have so much to get in, we really rush things, and it doesn't do a fair justice to the full game.
Yeah.
But and I'll admit, I finally got. I apologize to everyone that's on YouTube. I haven't got back, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, I haven't got to return comments, but I did it today in the car, and there was one comment that hey guys, Jalen Hyatt did have a big catch. His last touchdown was across the middle. And it was funny because when I was rewatching that game, I said, we didn't talk about that enough. That was a big time catch. He had a guy draped on his back. He did have the safety. And that's a big time catch and a big time play. We will talk about UT Martin, that I saw something that I really liked of him. But then again, some of the other stuff that I saw that this team just never flinched was Bama was always chasing us pretty much the entire game. I know that they were up by one because of the missed PAT, but technically, not technically, but it still felt like a tied game because I was like, we're going to score. We'll get the 2 point. It'll be fine. So we never had to chase them. In the one opportunity that they had late in the third quarter and how well our defense stood up, it's like this defense just knows. It's a weird, it's like someone's pushing the button at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's like, all right, we need to stop, hit the button, they'll get a stop.
Yeah.
And so we didn't do justice, because I remember there was one play where Jeremy Banks and Wesley Walker and Danico and some of those defensive linemen had some great plays and great stops. We didn't shout out what a big time catch it was for Jalen on that last one. And so just little things like that about Bama. And then I forgot to say, I was walking and we didn't really get time to talk about some of this stuff because we kind of dove right into it. But I was walking around campus, or maybe I said this or whatever, but I was with one of my buddies and someone yelled out my name and I looked over, and like when someone says that, like I'm expecting like, oh, I know this person, but I didn't recognize him, and he goes, hey, like you don't know me, like I listened to your pod. I was like, oh, like that's awesome, thanks, like that's great. And so I stood there and talked with the two guys for a little bit. One, I forget the one guy's name, but one was Ben Shipley, and I recognized the name when he said his name because he does he leaves messages sometime to time, and it was so funny. I forgot to mention this. So we're standing there talking. He's like, "Was Kyler in town?" I was like, "No, he couldn't make it in this week." He's like, "What, is dude still moving in?" He's like, "I feel like Kyler's been moving into his new house for like 3 weeks now." So that
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's hard to freaking move in, man.
I know. So I started cracking up at that, and then after, and I might have said this one too, I forget, but like, and then Jack and I rushed down to the field. Did I tell you about the guy asking for us to take his picture? And then, okay, no. So we went down to the field, we rushed the field, we climbed back out, we're standing there soaking it all up, and this guy with like his younger daughter and older daughter, they were like turned around and looked at us, and he's like kind of looking at me kind of weird or whatever, but she's like about to hand the phone, so I'm like, oh, they're going to ask us to take a picture. And he sticks his hand out, and he's like, hey, Reed. And I was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, you don't know me, but I listen to the pod and I love the pod. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I didn't get his name, but it was like, just like, that is an incredible feeling that I never thought that I would have, but I know how much you and I appreciate it. And it's a little bit different for you because you played over there. You were also a big time recruit. So like, you had a lot of people coming up to you since you were 17, 18 years old, and then for 5 years at UT. So it's a little bit different for you, you know? And so it's just, but we appreciate that. And so I want to tell that. So it was just funny because I took their picture, but he's just like, hey, Reed. And he's like, we shook hands. He's like, yeah, you don't know me, but I listened to your pod. You guys do a great job. And I was like, thanks a million. So I wanted to mention some of that stuff. And then, like I said, when we rewatched the video, it's really, really is just unbelievable. That game, like it really is, you know, it's just, people said, hey, we had great weeks. You know, people would ask me, how's your week going? And it's like, and they'd be like, because mine's great. There's no way it could be bad. We just beat Bama. Yeah. You know,
there's nothing bringing me down.
Right. And then lastly, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff about that Burton kid starting for Bama this week. And I'm really, and I know I didn't hear what Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit said. I saw a little bit of clips of it.
I didn't really watch it. So
yeah. But it is pretty. And I think to bring it up, like, I really, really respect Nick. Like I always say, that's my GOAT coach of all time growing up. But to see that really, really, really stinks to see because the video is so clear. I mean, it's not a clear video, but you can see what is so clearly that the girl is just dropping down and walking. It would be different.
She's not even looking at him.
Right. It's just like, it would be different. And I'm not saying it would have been right for him to do. In no way is it right for him to touch a female. But even if she like got in his face, or like even if she mocked it, but she didn't. This girl's just excited. She doesn't know who the hell he is. She's just trying to get out there and get, you know, on Instagram with her friends. Yeah. But it like, maybe if it was a guy and a Tennessee fan got in his face or touched him or whatever, like, okay, that's different. Like, that's a dude. You can like shove him, tell him to get out of your face or whatever. But he blatantly went out of his way because he was pissed about the loss of a game to hit her or to whatever. And then some of the stuff that's come out about it, like, as someone who really, really likes and respects Nick Saban, like that ain't it. And like that really, really knocked it down a level for me because it, like I said, the video just shows. And honestly,
I don't know what Saban's thinking. I feel like he's trusting Burton like too much in a way where like Burton's covering his tracks. Like he knows he shouldn't have done that. He was frustrated in the moment. It was a mistake. But, you know, now he's coming back saying, I was scared. Like it was a scary situation when this 110-pound woman was running past me. Like, shut the hell up, dude. If that was scary for you, you shouldn't be playing SEC football.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I'm just like, dude, if I was down there and had seen that, I mean, I would just give me
rocked him.
Oh, it would just I mean, it would just. I mean, I don't know the girl. Realistically, if it was someone I knew, I would have been furious. But it would just give me
You got to punch up. You got to grab the face mask and go up. That's the only way you can get to the chin.
Did he have his helmet on?
I don't even remember, but
yeah,
that's how you
I don't know, but
that's how you fight in football. You gotta come up underneath the face mask.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Buddy was gonna get decleated though, just because I would have had a free reign. Like, bro, you don't touch girls. Like, I'm decleating you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that was a joke I made when I saw one of the videos of everybody running on and Henry Toto like ran past. I was like, I would have laid his ass out.
Oh,
I would have acted like it was complete accident. Just like I'm running by and just go like that and laid him out.
You know my saying. Matter of fact, my next shirt that we make, I want to say problem or like this team's a problem. But like if you had ran into Henry T, it would have been a problem for him. Because even him in pads and stuff, you're still a large individual.
Hey, listen.
And there's a little bit of anger built up.
I don't know how much that man weighs. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd probably say 225, 230.
Right. Yeah. 230.
I'm 265.
Yeah.
Still, like, and I understand how to like get underneath someone's pads. So it's not like just some Joe Schmo, some fat dudes running by him. Like, I understand leverage and how to like live on that.
I mean, can you imagine how viral you would have gone? I mean, I would have been losing my mind laughing.
If I had a phone on me and like was recording myself running at him, trucked him, would have looked down and be like, "You got knocked
him." Yeah. I honestly feel bad even talking about this because we just sound like douchers, but or like sound like tools. Me saying that I want to go lay Burton out. But obviously what he did was wrong, and it just really stinks that the brass over there at Alabama didn't do a better job. And I'm surprised the SEC hasn't stepped in. Like I said, when there's a video of it, there's not much that you can go around.
Yeah. I mean, the proof's out there. Like I don't. What are we arguing? There's nothing to argue here.
Yeah. So as a player, Kyler, what are these UT Martin games like for you when you were there?
Okay. So UT Martin it's tough because obviously there's the letdown spot after Alabama. I think going into the week, you're very much as a player like, I need a break, dude. Like, I need a break. I know we had our bye week a while ago, but that Bama game took it out of me. And you're going through practice, and really what you're doing in practice is not preparing for UT Martin. Right. You are just trying to test yourself and better yourself. Like, when I would go into practices of those weeks, it wouldn't be like, oh, they have this 3 technique that does this and this formation that does this. And I'd be like, no. Barnett, can you come over here and give me a good look so I can get better at my pass pro, at my run block fits, at my backside, double teams, all that kind of stuff. And then once you get into the game, you're going full bore because I want to be out by halftime. I want the 2s in. I want the 3s in. I want all the other guys to play. And it's like, the only way that happens is if I'm actually trying and like giving effort. And those guys know it. Those guys understand that they're not going to win this game. Like that's how they imagine it. I remember we were playing North Texas. We only ended up winning like 24-0. But I mean, I don't consider that to like anything North Texas was doing my senior year. But I remember at a point, one of the guys, like, there was like a TV timeout or something. We were both out there. Like, one of the defensive guys was like, man, so like you guys have to play SEC teams every week. I'm like, yeah. And he was like, so what's it like playing Alabama? And I was like, I don't know. What's it like playing me?
Did you say that?
Yeah. I'm like, who the hell are you? What? Yeah. What do you mean Alabama? Yeah. I don't give a shit about Alabama. Like, we almost beat them that year. I was like, I'm like, I was like insulted. He asked me that. I'm like, F you, dude.
What did he say back?
I don't even remember. But I was
Yeah.
just like, what? I was so
Well,
confused when he said that. But they know, like they understand, like he's jovial with me because he knows he's getting his ass beat. And he better be
yeah,
nice because he'd rather be nice to me and me not dump him than, make me pissed.
right, right. So first off, it was great that we had UT Martin this week. Honestly, like, I mean,
Whoever scheduled that is a freaking genius.
the fact that we didn't have, I mean, first off, coming this week and having to play Kentucky would not have been fun. But even like South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, any of those where it's another SEC caliber, like you're gonna have to strap in really fucking quick. Like you're gonna have to like, I mean, this week you could, in a way, take off physically a little bit. Like mentally, you still better be there, and like physically, you better still be there in a way. But
Yeah.
there's something as an athlete that you like obviously I can't talk about it necessarily when I was at Memphis, but I remember even in high school when there were teams that we were going up against and I knew we were going to beat. I think for me, I almost got to play a little bit more free because
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about losing the game. So it was like, let's go really cut loose and like maybe chance something here or there. Like this game, instead of being like, all right, I got to, really read my keys, really pay attention to this, like really do this. Like this game, I'm like, all right, bro.
Which I completely agree with, and why I think certain guys that we'll get into had the games that they had and did the things that they did.
Right, right. Because I can vividly remember that week being like, all right, I'm going for 15 piece on tackles. I want one or two sacks. Like, I want to, and like I said, so there were times where you could be a little bit more, like I said, a little bit more risky, I guess, take a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more of a gamble. Like if we're playing a pretty big game, like and the guard's pulling up, like I'm gonna blast him and do the best I can to fill that hole. But on this one, I might try to dip under and slide in and get the TFL because and especially as the game goes on, when you're really starting to beat somebody, but before you're gonna get pulled, I
Yeah.
mean it really can be those actually can be some of the most fun games. Because like I said, the relaxation part or I guess your mind's a little bit more relaxed. So that's what I remember about those games. But yeah, like there were some there's not as much pressure. You want to go try to hurdle, dude? Okay, go try to hurdle, dude. Like if you want to, just whatever stupid crap you want to try to, Troy Polamalu jump the line of scrimmage. Okay, whatever. So what'd you think about Tennessee in this game, and I guess tying into who you saw doing some stuff?
I love this game. I thought it was like very fun to watch and made me feel like even better about this team because of the fact it was after such a huge win and they just locked back in and did exactly what they've been doing the whole time. I actually really like the baby blue accents thrown in there. Like I think that looks good. And I really would not mind doing that like every now and then, just throwing them in for a homecoming game. Like I love that. I always like the Lady Vols logos. Like I do want I want like a sweatshirt like that dark navy blue one that I have that is just Lady Vols with a light blue. I think that's sick. I freaking love it. But I absolutely loved it. I did the best part about these games is that every single backup gets to play. Every single one. And they get to get game reps. They get to get pretty much a whole half of play in. And then it's like, okay, now I get to coach up these guys from a coaching point of view. I get to show them. I also get to be like, hey, you've watched the guy ahead of you do all of this. Now here you are on film doing something completely different. This is why you don't start. Like it gives you proof to point to guys like, hey, here's how you can get better. And that's so great, especially for like growth later in the future. Joe Milton, for instance, like need to get him as many reps as possible because Hendon Hooker ain't going to be here next year.
The backups are the ones that really lock in. I mean, I remember, and I know you talked about this a bunch, like when you weren't starting yet, but like you still were going from time to time, whether it was like at that tight end, the extra tackle, whether you had to go in for a backup for a couple of plays or special teams, like you were super locked in. And I remember being where, it was when we were at Catholic, I wasn't starting yet, and we were going to go play a team that we were going to handle and beat them, 60, whatever. Well, I was locked in because I was like, all right, I know besides special teams or whatever that like I'm going to be getting in pretty early. And then I remember the coach coming up and being like, hey, Reed, we're actually going to start you. And like 16 or 17-year-old Reed's like, butthole just got like so tight. I was like, oh my, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, holy crap. So like the backups are the ones that just are there. They know it's their opportunity. And it's their opportunity.
Tennessee.
Hold on.
Their first game as an AP top 3 team in 7.
Sorry, my
I love it. Reed can't help himself. He's got extra Tennessee stuff playing in the background.
I get this damn thing plugged in. What the hell is this thing telling me it's on for? But anyways, what I was going to say is that's the time like not only are you excited, but you're also a little nervous because you want to play, but you also want to prove to like you don't want to go out there and do a bad job. So it's like, but anyways, let me go ahead and say what you're gonna say and let me do something real quick.
Okay. Get your stuff right. I agree with you in that point. Like when you are the second team, you almost have to be more conscious. Like when I was the extra blocker, when I was on field goal, when I was technically the backup for right guard, right tackle, it was like, did somebody's helmet go off? Did somebody roll an ankle? Do I need to go in? Like, oh, is it getting to short yardage? Is it 4th and short, 3rd and short? Like, are we going jumbo? Like, you're just absolutely locked in. But yeah, the nerves hit you whenever they're like, hey, now it's time to play. Or, like your instance, like you're going to start.
Well, and the other thing is too, you don't want to let the older guys down. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to let those other guys down, or like you don't want to play bad and almost be embarrassed in front of your.
Yeah, like the first time that I actually got to play an offensive snap because Juwan James' helmet went off and I went in at right guard. They bumped Zach Fulton out to right tackle, and I immediately jumped off sides. Versus Florida, baby, in Neyland.
Immediately, it's like,
guess what?
I
didn't get to come out. I still had to stay in there. It's ruined the drive. It was 3rd down and 2. Forced it at 3rd and 7. We ended up throwing the ball, incomplete pass, killed the drive. So felt great. Yeah, I felt real great about that one.
It's like, all right, Curberson, get in there. And it's like, all right, Curberson, get the hell out. You're never seeing the field again.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple things that I saw. First off, that I see a stat that Squirrel White got clocked at like 24 miles an hour. And I'm like, wow, that's fast. And then it says that's the fastest anybody's. Yeah.
Yeah. You just said 24. I'm like, bro, that's faster than NFL guys.
So, but what was weird, and it said since the NFL, I was like, oh, is it going to say since the NFL this year? It said since 1999. I'm like, Tyreek Hill is currently in the NFL. And I'm like, there's some other like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle,
since 1999, Chris Johnson,
Randy Moss, like absolute freak shows. And I'm like, is this real? Even if it's not legit, like still him being that fast. So obviously it was great to see him out there. He's going to have a chance to be super, super, super special because he has that speed that Jalen has. Now, he's not the same height as Jalen, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's more complete from what I've seen. He doesn't seem to me that he's going to be a one-trick pony. He seems like he could be the guy that could legitimately do everything and more. So it was good to see him out there.
I don't know if Jalen's height mattered when he was catching those touchdowns versus Bama. You know what I mean?
Right. But it was great to see Squirrel out there. Like you said, it was great for Jalen. I mean, for Joe to get some reps. And you know what I like, Kyler? It's just clean, man. Like it was clean. Like just do what you got to do, handle it. Get the young guys in, get the backup guys in. Our guy Dylan Sampson got some run, which was great to see. I love watching him run. So yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised that they did run a trick play because I was actually watching live when they did that. I'm like, why do you pull that out now? Like, why did they not use that against Pitt or Florida or maybe even Bama? And I was like, well, Bama, it was so easy we didn't have to use it. But I was like, and then I
because
was
they
like,
just put that in this week.
well, I don't know if that's true because Princeton said they've been practicing that a lot. And so I don't know how true that is. But I was going to ask you, do you think they maybe did that so that the other teams have to like scheme for it? They're like, all right, if you see him in the backfield, like,
Princeton is going to do that exact same motion on a play later in the year where he's going to like motion over and back up behind the quarterback and look like he's going to get the ball. I guarantee he will do that action and it will confuse some of the defense and get Jalen running right past him or anyone else on the outside running right past. I get it's going to happen. But like, when you do have these weeks, these are times where you, as a coach, you know your guys know that UT Martin is not Alabama and they're not Kentucky and they're not the SEC teams you're going to play. So what do you do at practice? Hey, got a trick play for you guys. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, all of you line up. Let's see how good you can throw. Let's see who's got the best arm because that's who's getting this. So
right.
It's like, how can we have fun at practice during this week where you guys might not be that motivated? Let's put a trick play in.
Okay. Yeah, I can feel that. I can understand that. I definitely knew it was something for film related, but that also, like you said, hey, like let's add a little juice, get some of these guys more. And I will say this, I do really like the touchdown that Princeton ran as like they gave it to him to get it fullback and he bounced it outside. Like I told you at the Florida game, they handed him the rock. And I don't know if it was you or Jack. I was like, I don't know. That kind of scares me. I was like, I don't necessarily – at some point, they're going to run that play where they line up. And I'm like, all right, let's just sneak it or let's fake this to him. And they're going to give it to him and it's going to get absolutely stuffed. And I'm going to be a little perturbed because it's going to be a decent game, whether it's Georgia or – maybe it's another SEC game that we haven't blown out yet, and it's going to bother me. But I don't mind handing him the rock at actual running back. Seriously, like put him in at running back, and if you want to do a read option with, because he is a bigger body than our other running backs,
yeah,
and he is pretty darn fast for him. Like he really took off around that edge. The only worry is he hasn't had as many reps carrying the rock. And that's the big issue is like we obviously have to trust him not to fumble in a big spot.
I do like that play, and I think that they got to understand it more during this game. Like I think they kind of figured out, his alignment, how deep he is, what are Hendon's footwork to get him the ball, how that blocking scheme works. Like I think they figured that stuff out in this game. Like they didn't have it figured out in Alabama. And when Fant did get the ball, he had to bounce and barely made it to end zone. And then the next one, he got stuffed, and we actually got a penalty that helped us. So right. I think this game, they actually figured it out. And I don't see Fant getting it as much. I see maybe 2 more times the entire year. I think all the rest are going to be Hendon going off just like this and pitching it out.
Yeah.
Or possibly going just like this, backing up and tossing it over to Jacob Warren, who did a fake block. Like, could easily see that.
So I agree. So that's a lot what I was thinking is a lot of the stuff that they're going to play off of it. And even if you saw during this game when they handed it, they still had Brew going in motion and they had Jabari coming out where it was like you could have even faked it to him and literally like we're straight up triple option, faked him, and then you got the speed option with Hendon, Jabari, and Brew as a blocker. And off that, you can even do speed option dump to Brew. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do just off that one thing. So the only thing is that I didn't necessarily love is 13 for 109 on penalties. I do think, if I'm not mistaken, I think 7 or 8 of those were the second half, which means it's probably because there's going to be a lot of backups in there and it's not going to be as clean.
Yeah.
But everything else, third down efficiency was 15 to 20, and we were 1 for 1 on fourth down. I mean, we put up almost 700 yards, 696 total yards. So, a lot of the guys had good, clean games. It was a little weird. Hendon had some moon balls, and I don't know.
I wrote that down too. I don't know if maybe – listen, and I don't know if it's because I'm very smart, but in the Alabama game, I mentioned Jalen can be better at coming back to the ball and causing a PI. And I literally thought, why would he shoot? Why would he throw the moon ball? Why would he put that much air on it if not to get a one-on-one 50-50 ball where maybe he gets a PI?
Right.
Because if you overthrow him, you're not getting it. If you underthrow him, it's like have him come back to the ball. Maybe that's just guessing, and that's not literally in no way, shape, or form what happened. But that's what came to my mind. I have no idea why there were the moon balls, because he even had one to Squirrel that he could have just led Squirrel, and Squirrel would have scored.
It's almost like a conspiracy theory. Like, I'm not going to – if someone really believes wholeheartedly in it, I'm like, okay, like, that's your opinion. I couldn't see where they're going in this week. Like, dude, throw some moon balls so we can work on jump balls. Like, that's something you do in practice. Yeah. One of them looked like Squirrel was just so fast that Hendon was like, oh my gosh, like I got to get it out there. And I just had to give everything I can. And it was a little bit more of a moonshot. But it was nice to see Jalen, like, he definitely didn't go do a jump ball, but at least he turned around and body caught it. He had to come back for it because, I don't want to see any moonshots like that. Like,
no,
when someone's by him, like when Squirrel's by him or when Jalen's by it, like, only jump ball we want to see is if it's Cedric Tillman and then, Brew McCoy. But it was a little weird why those happened. I don't know if he just was late and was like, holy crap, I got to get it there. So he tried to give it everything he's got, and that was the result. I don't know, though.
Who knows? Some of the other stuff I saw that I loved, at least offensively, there was in the first quarter was 6:55 left. There was a post to Ramel, and he got down close to the end zone. They did not run a route on the other side of the field. They dropped 8. UT Martin dropped 8, rushed 3. And we had one wide receiver running around, and that was it. And it was Ramel. And we completed it for like 30 yards. I thought that was the funniest thing I ever saw. And I'll put it to YouTube. But like just seeing the other side of Jalen, Brew, and someone else, and they're just like, and they look over at Ramel and like watch him run his route to get open. I just thought it was hilarious. I love the fact that Heupel and Golish are that confident where they're like, I know that this play will work. You guys take a break.
Well, and that was one of my favorite things that came out of the Jacob Warren podcast when we had him on over a year ago. We asked him that because you and I noticed that on film and we're like, what the fuck's going on here? And Jacob, and I loved it. And Jacob says, like, they know that, like, we are going fast. We need a break. So if we have a design that's going to the right or to the left, then, like, don't waste your breath. Like, don't waste your energy, trying to sell something when you're never getting the ball. And, like, there's plenty of times in football where you still got to sell something. But, like, this is also, like, don't overthink stuff. Don't overthink it. And Heupel, like, is genius because he's the first coach. Now, I'm not saying he's the first one to ever do it. He's the first one I've ever noticed. And I was like, hey, you idiots, it's not coming that way. So don't waste your energy. Just don't even come off the ball. Just turn and look. And I love it because I think it's so smart. It's not overthinking anything. And you know what? If it's over here to the left, great, hit it. If it's not, throw it away or run. And the other thing that you said about 3 and dropping 8, they did it again, and it was the same thing. I think Bama did it one time. Now, obviously, that to Ramel happened, but there was another time. It was like 3rd and 19, and they rushed 3 and ran and did 8, and Hendon's back there, and he's back there, and he realizes nothing. So what's he do? He runs on 3rd and 19 and gets a first down. And Bama did it one time, and he beat him on with his legs, and I didn't see him do it again. So it's just really funny. Like, if you want to drop 8, we get why you want to do it, but you're going to get burnt for at least 5 or 6 yards by Hendon.
This isn't just a pocket passer.
Right.
Right. Let's see, other stuff on offense. Fant dropping that like post pattern.
Yeah.
It would have been a touchdown. That's a different route than what we usually do out of that formation on the fake bubble screen. Like we usually have the slot guy run a streak, and it's a slot shot. He changed it into a post. So it's like another wrinkle added into that formation and that look. Notice that on Hendon's first touchdown, Jerome Carvin was 8 yards downfield, and I bitch about it almost every game. And I'm like, this is why Heupel doesn't say anything to the refs, because he knows his guys are going to get caught too. He knows his guys are heading downfield. They're running that play. They think it's a run, like wholeheartedly. Let's see. Jalen, honestly, man, like I know what kind of game he had versus Alabama, but what he did in this game for his skill set impressed me more. Like juking, moving, shifting, squeezing through, trying to break tackles. Like, didn't see that versus Alabama. It was, I'm running this route and I'm running right by you, and they ain't catching me. I mean, he barely got touched during that Alabama game. And this one, it was like, okay, I've never seen that before.
So the one where they threw the screen route to him, and or not a screen, whatever. It's. I mean, you can call it a screen because Ramel's out there blocking, whoever it was blocking. But the fact that, like we've always said, you got to get schemed up to where you're one-on-one, and whether you're a running back, you got your guy you got to make miss. And out there, this was the same principle. It's like, all right, it's 2v2. You're gonna have one blocker that's gonna block for you. You got to make your guy miss. He makes him miss, cuts right up the middle of the field. Like, I love to see that. Like, if you can keep adding that, and he did it at the first game of the year where he caught the hitch, turned around, and got upfield. But like, if you can keep developing that, and also the comeback for the moonshot, like if you can start doing that against South Carolina, against Kentucky, against Missouri, or even if you can do it against Georgia, like that is huge. It's huge.
It's huge. I guess other things that I've got, 31 points in the second quarter is just ungodly.
Yeah.
For one quarter. Loved seeing Joe in there. Taven looked like he might have got hurt. Like that looked very much like a collarbone kind of thing, which I really hope not. Like I like Taven a lot. Obviously,
he's got running.
Quite the competition with Nico coming in if he ever wants to like see the field. But I mean, I like him as a recruit, so I hope he can stay healthy.
That was a nice run he had on the one that he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much everything for offense. I mean, there's a couple other things. I thought Darnell had this like pancake block that was great towards the end zone. Crucial untimed down to end the first quarter for the first quarter spread. Like, I'm sure it was probably 14. I have no idea. I didn't bet it.
I don't know what the first quarter spread was.
But I'm sure it was probably like 10 or 14. Actually, we were up 7. It was 14-7. Then we scored up 21-7. Like, I'm sure that was huge, and people were freaking out.
Austin texted me that, and because he hadn't come over to the house yet, and he's like, "Did you just cover on that last one?" I was like, "Actually, I didn't, because they didn't put out a first quarter spread for that game."
Yeah. Okay. What about defensively? Do you want me to go over some stuff I saw?
Go ahead. I just want to talk KenSucky.
Yeah, I do too. I thought Beasley had a great pass breakup on the first third down. Rucker had good technique and just got beat with some speed on the outside. That number 15 for UT Martin is a very good player. Like, he really is. I thought he was like very impressive. Brandon Turnage, like getting the most, pretty much some like, now he's playing, and like I thought he did a good job. They had that like kind of rollout throwback across, and he stayed. So it's like, thank you for doing that.
Saw him Peyton big time on his end around and made a hell of an open field tackle. People don't understand how hard that tackle is.
And I think Brandon, when he ran into that wall, like what it looks like to me and what I think it is a disc in his neck, a bulging disc. I have a bulging disc in my low back, and it freaking sucks, and it hits your nerves wherever it is, which I think is why he was like trying to go back as much as he could. Let's see. Just seeing, saw DT going beast mode at one point, which was great. D Williams will return a punt versus Kentucky
For a touchdown?
for a touchdown. He will
All right.
return a punt for a touchdown versus Kentucky. I put it in the books. If it's a bet, if it's bet online, freaking bet that thing. I guarantee it. Forced fumble by Trey was great. He was also in the worst position. He did not get his head across.
It did not. He got lucky. He got lucky.
He got lucky on that. He definitely did.
He didn't peanut punch that. But
yeah. That doesn't happen 10 times on a hit. And that definitely doesn't happen playing Kentucky and playing against Chris Rodriguez.
Right.
Who is the best running back we're going to like hit. Gibbs is great. He is fantastic. But the way Rodriguez runs is so impressive. I think Gibbs is very shifty, but Rodriguez will run through your face. There's no such thing as arm tackles versus that guy.
I just didn't want you to say that it's going to be the best running back we play. You can say he's going to be maybe the most physical one we've played so far.
Yes, and I think,
but don't get it twisted.
2, if I'm putting Gibbs at 1.
I really I think the Pitt running back was a good player too.
I think their best running back was hurt, that number 6.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he got hurt the game before.
Okay.
But they still did they still like to run the ball a lot, but
right. So for me, you ready to talk KenSucky?
I'm ready, baby.
How did you feel about Kentucky? Let's talk quick here, but how did you feel about Kentucky when you were a player?
You don't lose to Kentucky.
Yeah.
We fired our coach and had an interim head coach of Jim Chaney. We beat Kentucky 52-20. It's like you don't lose to Kentucky.
Derek Dooley got lost to Kentucky, and he then got fired as well. That was the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah. So,
he lost.
Yeah. That's my memories of Kentucky. I went 4-1. My one loss being my very first year when I was redshirted. We lost at Kentucky.
That's what I'm.
When I think some guys were checked out. I can't confirm that because there is a certain divide between travelers and non-travelers, just like being close with everyone. But that's just kind of the way it seemed. But yeah, dude, I beat Kentucky. It doesn't matter how good they are. It doesn't matter their record. It doesn't matter who they you beat Kentucky. And this year, and we're in an even year. Even year schedules are the absolute best schedules for us. I absolutely love the even year schedules where we get Florida, Bama, Kentucky at home. Love that. When we have them all away, it sucks. I freaking hate it. I freaking hate traveling to those places. I hate having to play those good teams and those rivals in those places. I would much rather have them at home and Georgia away and who else? Missouri and South Carolina. I would much rather have those away than I would the other. So I think even years are our best years for success.
Agreed there. Also agree that and correct me if I'm wrong as a player, you're you probably don't even look at Kentucky as a rival. You're kind of we don't lose to Kentucky. It's just what we do. But you're still enjoy playing them and you're fired up to play them.
Yes, definitely. They're not a rival to me. Florida is a rival. Alabama's a rival. And that's how it felt. Those two are rivals. Georgia is a game that you're trying to win in the SEC East. The rest are games you're trying to win in the SEC East. And then Vandy is a little brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a rivalry, but it's not just a regular game. It's we need to make sure that they don't think that they're better than us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Vandy's that one, you better not lose. Just don't choke it. But Kentucky is definitely, I would like it as a player because we are Kentucky Super Bowl every year. It bad as Pruitt was, it was hilarious when they had a 10-win team come in here. Like, they're having their best year ever, and we blast them. Like, I mean, we absolutely – Pruitt actually had a really nice defensive game plan.
Yeah.
And so that's how we used to go up every year to the away game in Kentucky. We did it like – Matt, we saw you up there when you were on your redshirt year. But we went up there like 4 or 5 years in a row, and it's just such a blast to go up there. Now, we had some really good games. I mean, one time we were up there in 2007. It was overtime. There was another one we went up there that was like a really good game that we were kind of like worried about. But like Jack always says, like Kentucky just finds ways to lose to us. Like they always just shit the bed. That's why I actually was very, very, very mad when Pruitt was here and JG lost us that game in my heart because he gave them 2 pick sixes and it was kind of over from there. Because I really do hate losing to them. Georgia's usually good. Florida's usually good. Bama's usually really good. So it's like if we lose to them, we lost. But like when we lose to Kentucky, I don't care how good they are. Like I feel like it's us choking, not them.
Yes, agreed. So looking at Kentucky, watching them versus Mississippi State and watching them versus South Carolina, the biggest thing is like their defense is good. Their defense is number 14 overall defense in the nation. Like technically, by the numbers, it would be the best defense we played this year, with Alabama being at 15 right behind them. But, our game is part of Alabama's record, so that's probably why they're not, ranked as high. But their offense, dude, like they do not have the capability of really coming from behind. Like the absolute firepower we showed in the beginning of the Alabama game and got up by so much, Kentucky cannot come back from that. There's no possible way and it's not because of Will Levis and he's just like bad. I'm not saying that. It is because their offense runs through Chris Rodriguez. He has to run the ball multiple times for a lot of yards if they want anything to work on offense. There's no way that they can get any kind of plays going, anything working, anything flowing without him in the ball.
So I actually really enjoy football games where it is a whose style of ball is going to take over. When you have a team like this that likes to run the ball, are they going to be able to establish themselves and really run it and keep, it sounds great on paper. Run the ball, chew the clock, keep Hendon Hooker on the sideline, do this, do that. I usually really enjoy watching those football games to see what ends up happening, to see kind of like which one takes over. Does Tennessee come out and jump up fast, and then it takes Kentucky out of their game? But then I sit there and think, I'm like, I go back to the podcast of where you said for LSU, and we didn't really know, like we knew we were good, but I don't know how like we knew like we were like super, super legit, like, a problem. And it's like when you sat there and hit it on me, and I know Believe actually tweeted it out, and it's just like, I don't think they can, like, it's going to take, 30 to 40 points for them to win, and I don't think it's happening. And when you said that, it was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, yeah, they're not going to be able to score with us. So, like, I'm not worried about this Kentucky game at all because I don't see anything that happens besides us playing our worst game of the year and maybe having like 3 or 4 turnovers. But like, even if they do, let them come out and have a 9-minute drive and establish the run. And like, yeah, it's going to wear down our defense, but guess what? We're going to come out and probably score within 4 plays.
Yeah, bro. So, I mean, I would say our worst game of the year so far is Pitt.
Yeah.
And we scored 35 points.
And we shot ourselves in the foot multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the other thing is too, I'm usually not this guy. I'm usually just off a gut feeling. Like, how do I feel? And I feel great about it, which is funny because years past until this year, it was like if I felt good about it, then we ended up either losing or playing a tight game. And if I felt nervous about it, we'd blast them. But if you want to play this game, Kyler, so they won 37-13 over Miami of Ohio. Then they beat Florida 26-16. That kind of put them on the map. Then they go, and it's Youngstown State 31-0. Northern Illinois, where a lot of eyeballs, a lot of those tweet emojis where you're looking sideways was like, hold on here. What's Northern Illinois doing? Like, is Kentucky about to get upset? And then they go and they play Ole Miss. And I got to watch some of that game because that was the weekend I was in Nashville. And so I was watching some of that. And, like, if you want to play this game, we just saw what LSU did to Ole Miss. And we know what we did to Ole Miss. Well, if Kentucky and Mississippi were in a dogfight and they lost, what the are we going to do to them? You know what I mean? So it's like, and then South Carolina beats them. And I don't think South Carolina's good. And then it's a nice win for them to beat Mississippi State, but don't compare us to Mississippi State. Mississippi State wants to do this with all their routes.
Mississippi State ran the ball 10 times total. 10. That's ungodly.
And that's the thing that people forget. Mike Leach wants to run an air raid, and he wants to throw it here, there, all the way around, out routes, crossing routes, drag routes, all this stuff. That's not what we do. We're a power run game with deep shots, like they're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we lean on the power and gap scheme running more than we do zone, which goes very well against our defense. They've got bear defense, head up nose, 4-eye on the inside shoulder of each tackle, and then stand-up guys on the end. Versus that, you cannot run zone concept. You always get outmanned because you can't set up double teams. There's so many guys on the line. You can't set up a double team up to a linebacker, and linebackers are usually running free.
Which is
there's not even room for your offensive lineman to move.
Which
is so why bundled up.
Yeah, it was why it's a good defense when the 86 Bears or whoever it was, the 85 Bears came out with it. But like you said, there's other ways to scheme around it now.
Yeah.
And like it's funny, like we're almost a pro style offense out of shotgun because we still pound the ball. We're still going to run it. We still want to, do that. But then we take our shots and we take our play action shots. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And they're considered technically like that technical term of pro style offense, which I think is what's leading towards Will Levis's like view of being an NFL quarterback because of the offense he's in.
Right.
And they're like balanced, very balanced is what they like to say. So versus Mississippi State, they were balanced in yards. They had 239 pass yards, 239 rush yards. The difference is they threw the ball 25 times. They ran the ball 48 times, like almost twice as much. Like they have to run the ball. If they do not run the ball, they have no success. And what is our defense best at? Stopping the run. Like everything lines up for us to just kick the ever living shit out of them. And I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. I always will give props to Rodriguez. I think he is a good running back. I think, this game he'll probably have his lowest yards that he's had all season, but that still might mean like 76 yards. You know what I mean? Like he can still probably get them a first down in a big crunch moment. Break through some arm tackles. Like I can envision that, but I still don't envision them scoring more than 21, maybe if they get lucky. So I'm completely fine. And the Mississippi State game, like Will Levis looked like he got hurt again. Like he hurt his shoulder. The guy keeps getting injured. I don't care how good of a prospect you are. Best ability is availability, Bubby.
There should be a lot of people watching this game because if you want to see how Will Levis spins the bean, you're going to get a chance to see him spin the bean because he's going to be trying to keep up with this offense and Hendon Hooker. So last year they were able to,
and this is the worst defensive backfield in the country. So he better have all these yards. If we're just so bad, he better have 350, 400 yards.
Even in last year, we lost my guy, Matthew Butler. But this year, I remember watching that Kentucky game. It was actually Lee and Liz's wedding night. So I remember watching it sporadically, running in, running out. But then I remember I rewatched the entire thing to drive home. And I remember getting those text messages like, wow, we can't stop them. They're gashing us. They're running right at us. This year's defensive line is in so much better depth spot than they were last year that I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Like, and here's the other crazy thing is too, if Will Levis is the projected, supposed projected number one, I don't know this for sure, but something tells me this week, Tim Banks isn't in there scheming around Will Levis. He's saying, we're going to make Will Levis beat us. So it's like, and he's supposed to be that high of a draft pick. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, this is a big stage for him. But, yeah, it just always comes down to the fact that, like, as long as we play a pretty clean game, hell, we had a couple turnovers against Bama and it didn't matter. So if we have a couple turnovers against them, like I said, it would be
Bama a touchdown and we still won.
If we would have to play like a bunch of drop balls, like Hendon throws like 3 picks, we got like 2 fumbles, like 5 turnovers or something insane. Because once again, it just comes down to the fact that like our defense is good enough in my eyes, but really they can't score with us. So it's like, let's just enjoy Saturday night because I think we're about to rout KenSucky. It's what we do. We beat Kentucky.
That's right.
And they're a basketball school, but yet we somehow always sweep them. Always split with them, but then we also beat them in the SEC tournament. That's weird. I don't know what they have going for them these days.
Yeah. What kind of school are they now?
Good pod.
Yeah, man. Great pod. All right. Thank you guys for watching and listening. If you are watching, please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. We absolutely love the comments. And buy the merch, baby. Buy the merch. How we doing, bud? It is the catchphrase. It is the logo on the shirts. It's a great shirt. If you want to follow us on social media, at Believe in Tennessee for our main account on Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerberson for myself. And God, man, we appreciate you guys. Almost up to 5,000 views on the YouTube. I know we got listeners out there too. Y'all are the best fans in the world. There's a reason why Tennessee is the way that it is because of the fans. And you guys make this podcast run also. So props to you guys. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. And as always, go Vols.